Hello and welcome to Sunrise Cardcast, your one-stop podcast shop for all things hockey cards. My name is Eric Andrews, also known in the hobby as Hammerhawks. I'm joined by my co-host and fellow hobbyist Aaron Goldstein, better known as Crease Collector. Starting things off for the episode, I have a package that I just got in the mail today that I wanted to go through with you guys just because I think it's kind of interesting. This is something that we have not discussed on the podcast at all yet, but I think is, something that probably should be talked about at least to some extent. And this is my first experience with it. So this was just kind of a natural, good way to bring up the topic and kind of break it down a little bit. That being the eBay Authentication Program. And for those of you who have not heard of that or don't have experience with it, or you're curious about it, or, not quite sure, basically how it works is if you buy a card on eBay that is either listed over a certain dollar figure or sells for over a certain dollar figure, the seller has to send the card to an authenticator that works with eBay. And once the card is authenticated, then the authenticator mails it to the buyer. So I know down here in the States, I can't remember how it works up in Canada, but I know for the States, the seller ships the card to PSA, and then PSA essentially just says, yep, like this is a real authentic card. It's not altered. It's not a fake card. So they'll review the card, authenticate it, and then they package it back up in a really nice package and send it to the buyer. So like I said, this is my first experience doing it. This is a card that I just bought, I think it was like a week and a half ago, and already have it in hand. So that was pretty nice. Actually, probably not even that long ago. I think it was a little over a week ago. So it was really quick, given that the seller had to ship it to PSA. PSA had to authenticate it, package it, send it to me, and then it be delivered to me. So just over a week for that, I thought was, it's pretty good. It's a pretty quick turnaround. So I'm going to open this up and just kind of see what the packaging is like. I've seen pictures and videos, and I've read about it and heard about it, but this is my first experience actually getting something through the program. So I'm excited to see kind of what this is all about. So I'm cutting into the box here. It's kind of like in a nice little flap box that you just cut on the side and then it lifts out. And it has a little envelope that says eBay Authenticity Guarantee. So that's cool. And then that eBay Authenticity Guarantee thing is actually magnetic. So you open it up, it says your collection is now upgraded, collect, trade, repeat. So then you open that up and it gives you kind of just like a informative type of thing explaining how the process works. And then there's your card. So the card that I got is from 2022 President's Choice Solid Gold, and it is a Vezina Trophy winner card, of course, of George Vezina, and then also Tony Esposito for the Chicago Blackhawks. And has a really nice Esposito patch on there, as well as a Vezina cloth pad piece. Pretty cool that it has a patch, because I know some of the Esposito copies actually just have jersey pieces, like two-color jersey pieces. So to get a really nice emblem patch on there is a really nice bonus. And I got a pretty good deal on this, so definitely really cool. And yeah, the packaging is very secure. It's a great packaging job, honestly. Like, this is pretty impressive. And then it also comes with a eBay Authenticity Guarantee sticker that is void if damaged. So essentially, if you remove the sticker, then you can no longer return the card or file a complaint with eBay or whatever. So yeah, that's pretty cool. It's a nice program. It's a good idea. I know some people had mixed emotions about the program and stuff, but I think it's a good thing, and I think it seems like they're doing a really nice job with it.
I agree. I mean, like when I first heard of the program, I kind of waited for some extra details to kind of surface. At first I thought like maybe it would be kind of like a money grab or something, like just like a big inconvenience. But, I quickly learned how much of I think an asset it could be for collectors, especially since, a lot of people during the pandemic had, gravitated towards cards, more specifically, higher end cards. And I think this goes, really hand in hand with what collectors are kind of gravitating towards now, especially graded cards, things like that, especially when you get into vintage, just any higher end card. Really, it's good to have that extra assurance. And yeah, just a really good program all around. I've heard nothing but good things. And yeah, just it's really good to see, like I said, that extra assurance for collectors.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. No doubt about that. So yeah, I would say, I'm impressed with it. I think it's nice to see that they are doing this well. I feel like they could have easily, I don't know if cheaped out is the right word, but kind of just, not really done it the right way. But it definitely feels to me like they have been doing this the right way. The packaging is really good, and that's, the most important thing, as well as having a quick turnaround. It'd be really frustrating if it took, 2 or 3 weeks for PSA to authenticate something and then send it out. And when it's all said and done, you're waiting a month to get your card. Like that would not be good. So the fact that this is almost not even adding much time at all onto that process, I think is a critical part of this too. So that's really good and encouraging to see. So, yeah, I mean, sometimes it can be a little bit of a hassle, oh, yeah, it's going through an extra step and it's slowing it down a little bit and, whatever, but I think the concept of the program is really good. So, yeah, just figured I would kind of share that process off with you guys in case you guys don't have any experience with it yourself. Like I said, this was my first time, so cool to see that. And then transitioning into the main topic for the podcast, as you guys saw, the title of the episode is Baby Come Back. And, that's just a fun name. But what we're talking about is old products that we really enjoyed or, thought were just good products that for one reason or another no longer exist today. Now, that could be because the company doesn't have a license anymore. They're not making hockey cards at all anymore, or it could just be an Upper Deck product that they just moved on from and haven't done in a few years or in a long time. So we just thought this would be a really fun, kind of laid back topic to just look back on some fun products and kind of reminisce on those and bring back some good memories for you guys and stuff like that. So we're going to start off with the non Upper Deck stuff and then we'll end with Upper Deck stuff. So the first category for me, and you guys will see that I have way more products on my list than Aaron does. So I'm gonna just kind of keep it a little bit more bare bone with my products, and then Aaron can kind of unpack his a little bit more in depth. Not super in depth, but just like actually explain why more than just talking about the name of the product. So I'm going to start with Pacific, which they have not been in the hockey game for many, many years, almost 20 years at this point. So a lot of you guys might not even know that Pacific ever was a hockey card manufacturer. So this is a total blast from the past for sure. So my first one, and this is mostly to do with their 2003-04 iteration of the product. They had done it in previous years, but I thought 03-04 in particular was really strong. That being Pacific Invincible. I feel like it was kind of just like a product that was ahead of its time in the sense that it was almost like a technology type of card, like how Upper Deck talks about Synergy being like a technology type of card where it combines cardboard and acetate and stuff like that all into the same card, and foil and all of that into the same card. Invincible, had done that. I want to say they started in the late 90s with Invincible and around 2000. And then it took a break for a few years, came back again in 03-04. And that's when I feel like it was really at its best. The base cards from that product were just beautiful, beautiful cards. But then they also had jerseys and inserts and stuff like that too. So that's my first one is Pacific Invincible. Just thought it was a really cool product that was done really well, especially in 03-04. Shocker that I would like an 03-04 product. Following up on that, Titanium from Pacific as well, another product that I just thought was really fun. Again, I really liked the 03-04 iteration of it in particular, but they had done it for a few years before then. And then one that was a one-off product for Pacific that again was 03-04, shocker, that I really liked was Pacific Luxury Suite. Just a super high-end product for that time period. The focus of the product was memorabilia, and there were a lot of different versions of the cards. So a lot of the veterans had like a jersey, a patch, like a stick blade, all these different types of memorabilia. And that was also kind of just like ahead of its time in a way. So, and those cards still to this day, if you find the right, parallel or right version of a card, those can still fetch some pretty big money. So yeah, those are my three Pacific products that I wanted to make note of. And Aaron, I know you've got at least one Pacific product that you wanted to touch on.
Definitely. Pacific brings back a lot of memories, a lot of faded memories for me. I wasn't super deep in the hobby, like when they were around. like in their prime, like I was a kid, but I always remembered Pacific Prism. I didn't know how in depth they were until later, but they had so many different parallels. And revisiting some old cards, like whether it be the ones in hockey or the ones in baseball, just so many cool parallels from that time. And it really was like kind of ahead of its time a little bit when it comes to having so much sort of technology advanced parallels. And I guess it made collectors nuts at the time, and it probably would still like today if it were around. But yeah, like definitely a player collector's nightmare. But I can only imagine trying to track down or even spreading the word about that many parallels and just trying to find them in the early 2000s. Like what a chore that would be, obviously with the internet not being what it is today. But yeah, like just a fun trip down memory lane for sure with Pacific, and yeah, really, really fun times for the hobby for sure. So those were, definitely a fun little look back there.
The
Another
Panini.
fun little look back is Panini. I know that a lot of people don't like Panini, and they, call them all sorts of names and things like that. And although they weren't perfect, I think they were a really good time for the hobby. I think just having more competition is just always a really healthy thing for any industry, but, especially for cards. My top products for Panini that I wish were still around, Panini Dominion. I thought they were so amazing. Just all the different types of, insert sets they had, for the memorabilia stuff, just were so just really, really just next level. The cards with the silver in them were really nice. Just such cool designs. I remember they had one like stick side signatures, I believe it was called. They had some, game use pucks in there too. Really nice memorabilia choices I found. Just overall, just really, really solid. Yeah, just every time I see cards from Dominion, just each one of their sets almost was just something new. And it was really, really nice. Like whether it be, tweaking the design a little bit or just bringing in something that hadn't been done before. I believe they did skate blades as well. Like just so, so cool. And just yeah, like I really miss them. And every time I see a card up for sale, yeah, just it makes me miss them even more. So like definitely Panini Dominion for me. Another one was Panini Prime. Those giant patches that we see today, like in Upper Deck Premiere and stuff like that, I think were brought back because of the success of Panini Prime. I mean, big large memorabilia patches were done before in the hobby in the early 2000s, especially with like Upper Deck Ultimate back in the day. But I think Panini Prime just revived the admiration that collectors had for these big giant patch windows and just, these amazing patches that you would never see in any other card around that time. And just they just truly evolved from sort of the majority of the smaller patch windows that we saw sort of leading up to the post 2010s era, and then just kind of exploding with these big giant patch windows and these amazing full colored patches. You had some vintage in there as well, which was always really cool to see. Just like Upper Deck Premiere sort of fills that hole, I think. But I mean, just seeing those mega patches again were super cool. And the fact they had it, as an ongoing basis with so many different players and so many different types of patches, I thought was really, really nice. They had, the C and the A they used a lot of. I'm not sure if it was in Prime. I think they used it in their own sets, but similar stuff. They had the big, emblem patches, number patches, just so, so cool. All different types of, maybe centennial patches, like stuff like that. You'll see them in Upper Deck Premiere now, but just they kind of started that again, that trend towards big giant patches being cool and being really sought after, no matter the player that you use. And so, yeah, just looking back at Panini Prime is really cool. And it's always really fun when people can sort of create sort of a shoulder logo or a, big chest logo for their certain player or team. Just really cool that people are still hunting those. And yeah, just such a fun product in every different way. And the memorabilia was just top notch for sure. Another one from Panini was Panini Flawless. Some people might not remember Panini Flawless. It was during the final year that they were around in hockey. The brand is still alive today in other sports, and they're just flawless. Like just very clean looking cards, almost like SB Authentic, but just on steroids. Just clean designs, just really, really nice. And just again, like we only saw 1 year of that product, but still, I mean, for me, it was enough to really still be nostalgic over it and want it to be returned today. So, I mean, that would of course warrant Panini having another kick at the can. So who knows if we'll see that, but just such a fun product and really, really nice, clean cards. Like definitely a high-end pristine product there. And finally, from the pristine, we're going with the lower end stuff now, Panini Score. Obviously a brand that had been, bought and revived from Panini, but I guess it would do two things for me. It would kind of revive their Score brand, but also kind of keep it modern. And Panini did that really, really well. I guess you could argue if it would still have a place today, with kind of OPG kind of filling that hole. But still, it was just really fun to see when they were around a couple of years of Score. The parallels were really tough to come by. They had some sort of oddball stuff like the red backs or the French backs and stuff like that. So just really, they took a formula that I guess was kind of old school and they sort of made it their own. And so I think it was really like well received by set collectors. So I think having more of those sets, and especially with a, bigger, more nostalgic brand like Score, sort of like OPG, would just definitely be, I think, welcomed. And yeah, so Panini Score for me would be the final Panini product that I wish returned today. So always fun to look back at those products.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with what you said there with some of those Panini products. I had Prime and Dominion on my list as well for pretty much all of the reasons that you just unpacked. So I won't go any further into those, but yeah, definitely two very notable products there that had a ton of really nice cards in them for sure. Two that I have on my list that you didn't touch on. One, Panini Zenith, which was only done in 1011. For whatever reason, I just really liked that product. I liked that there were hard signed rookie autographs and just other hard signed autographs, lots of different memorabilia cards. There were the Dare to Tear jumbo cards that were pretty cool, that were a throwback to cards from the 90s. Just a lot of really cool stuff was packed into that product, and it was really cheap. Like you could get boxes of that stuff back in the day for like literally like 35 or $40. So it's like, okay, if you're getting 2 or 3 hits per box at that price point, like that's pretty awesome. So I really enjoyed that product back in the day. And one other really cool thing about that product too is they had hot boxes, like intentional hot boxes. I forget how often they fell. I want to say they were like 1 in 8 boxes or something like that. Maybe it was like one per inner case or something like that, was a hot box where I believe you got a hit in every single pack. So, obviously you'll see quote unquote hot boxes even today where an issue happens with the packing out process during, the production of the product and it's not intentional. Whereas this with Zenith was actually intentionally done. And that was really cool. And I think I did get one of those hot boxes at some point, and it was just like the coolest thing. So I really liked Zenith for, a number of reasons. So figured I would mention it. And then one other one that I liked, I opened a few boxes of this stuff as well back in the day, but Panini Contenders was kind of like almost like the Panini version of SP Authentic, I feel like in a lot of ways. It had the hard signed rookie autos, it had rookie patch autos as a parallel, that kind of were like those Future Watch auto patches. And then like the NHL ink autograph cards were kind of like the sign of the times, and you had some multi autograph cards that were like the multi sign of the times and stuff like that. So just kind of a cool, fun product that even though it wasn't overly innovative or unique or anything, I mean, it really was, Panini's counterpart for SP Authentic. I still thought it was done really well and just a product that I think a lot of people did enjoy. Again, especially considering the price point being much lower than SB Authentic was. So that's all my stuff for Panini. I'm going to transition into in the game. I know I have quite a few things on this list, and I know you have at least one, Aaron. So I'm going to go through mine. I'm going to avoid talking about the one that I know you have because I know you will enjoy talking about it way more than I will. So my first one, this was also a one-off product that was shocker from 0304. It was called In the Game Action. And again, kind of goes back to that similar thought process that I just feel like it was a really good value product. You could get boxes of this stuff back at the time for literally 20 or $25. You would get a couple jersey cards, you get a lot of inserts. And I think the one thing that really drew me to it was a massive set. The base set was 600 cards. And then there were rookie cards on top of that. And then they updated the set after that. So the entire checklist for the product, I want to say, is like 674 cards, if I remember correctly, somewhere around there. It's just a massive set. So you would get so many cards in the box, but it's not, you wouldn't just be seeing the same names over and over and over again. Sure, you get Mario Lemieux, Martin Brodeur, all of those big names that you'd expect, but you got pretty much everybody in the league. I mean, it's a 600 card base set. Like that's pretty much everybody on every team back at that point in time. 30 teams, 20 guys per team, pretty much. That's pretty much your entire roster. So I just really liked that concept. And even on the back, it would denote like, oh, this is card number 17 of the Blackhawks team set. So it was just cool how thorough of a checklist it was. I really liked that. Next, this is one that was produced for a number of years, and is a product that a lot of people would almost, when you say in the game, this is one of the ones that they would think about, heroes and prospects. I think it was just a really good idea, in order to get cards of those CHL and AHL prospects before they would get to the NHL. Like Crosby and Ovechkin had a lot of cards in 0405 heroes and prospects, whereas they didn't get to the NHL until 0506. So that was just a really fun product every year. Again, a cheaper product that had a lot of hits in it, with potential to get some really cool stuff. So I was always a fan of Heroes and Prospects. I've opened a case of it 2 different years. Just a great product ever since, it was brought onto the hobby scene in 0405 and continued all the way through 13-14 within the game before they were sold to Leaf. 2 others that were around for a number of years from in the game. One, BAP Signature Series. I just really liked the concept of having a really extensive autograph checklist. Again, highlighting a number of players, not just only your superstars, but also those depth guys as well. Yes, that might make for a frustrating break at times if you just keep getting depth guys. But, for player collectors like us and even just fans of teams, getting those, fan favorites and depth type of guys that you wouldn't normally see getting autograph or memorabilia cards was just really fun. So, and I know Be a Player Signature Series was then taken over by Upper Deck in the 0506 to, I want to say, 0910 was the last year they did it. So they did it for a handful of years there, and they did a good job with it as well. But I just really liked the in the game version of it because it was hard signed autographs. So, and had some memorabilia and stuff like that. So that's one. And then BAP Ultimate Memorabilia. I would say that was really the first high end hockey product. And, I would say in a lot of ways, that's a product that kind of transformed what the hobby was and, what it's become today. And I think, Dr. Price has, obviously done a lot of good things, but I think building, a super premium high end product like Ultimate Memorabilia was just, an unheard of thing. And those cards still today are very, very desirable and collectible, and some of them have huge value still to this day. So that was, one of those products again that when you think of in the game, you think of those products. So I want to touch on those. And then the last one I'll talk about, this was a one-off product line as well. Again, from 0304, shocker, I know, but Parkhurst Original 6. Loved the concept. Still do. It's a great idea. Having a product line based on the original 6, documenting the history of the franchise. And, I think it was just a phenomenal idea and was executed really well. And I know one thing, Aaron, that you had mentioned is, how feasible would some of these products be today? This is one of those ones that you almost have to do it just periodically. You couldn't have this type of a thing being done every single year because it would just get really repetitive. But I think if you did even like every 10 or 15 years, kind of like a new iteration of it. Because, like, for me, I'm a Blackhawks fan. This was 0304. So, in the time since, there's been the greatest era of Blackhawks hockey, winning three Stanley Cups, having franchise legends like Kane, Taves, Keith, Seabrook, Jalmerson, Crawford, Hossa, all of these guys. Well, since these products came out before then, they're not in it. So it's like, yeah, it chronicles the first, whatever 80 years of the franchise, but it is missing the most important part of the franchise. So I think if this idea was brought back by Upper Deck or by somebody else in the future, I think it could be a hugely successful thing. And even like the Toronto Maple Leafs, no Austin Matthews, no Mitch Marner, So I think there would be a place for it if it was brought back today because the concept and the execution of it was excellent. So yeah, that's my last in the game product. Aaron, I know you have one that you're excited to talk about.
I do, but just a quick note on the original six. I mean, yeah, like I totally see what you're saying. It would be interesting to see, a card company really commit to that sort of, strategy, when it comes to, hey, we're going to create this product and whatever the timeline is between releases, just to sort of incorporate different generations of the team. I mean, the year divide could be debated, but either way, still throwing in, legends of the past, but sprinkling in, the newest crop, here or there of, the previous generation and then the current players, things like that would be just amazing. Like even every 5 years, like even every 10 would be really cool to see, that commitment to the original six. Just, yeah, like I think it's a really good idea. And it's one that I think collectors, if you haven't heard of that product before the podcast, it's definitely one like doing some research on. And who knows, if you're a fan of that team and of course those legendary players, like why not pick up a couple cards? If it's a legendary player, picking up a card of theirs in a current set or of, a previous set, it doesn't really matter. The players is the same. And at that point, they are retired anyway. So, you can pick up some really cool cards from, the ghosts of products past, if you just know where to look and know what kind of products to focus on. But yeah, that's definitely a product that like I would like to see come back too. And speaking of in the game, I mean, I would love to see, and I know I'm not alone in on this, but I would love to see the return of in the game Between the Pipes. Just like when you say those names of that product, it just brings back just a flood of memories, from of course goalie fans all over the world, but even players like even just non-goalies, just regular hobbyists just loved that product. And it's one that, I would love to see returned. I mean, just Brian Price did an amazing job with those products and just from top to bottom, just absolutely solid. I love the Masked Men cards. Those were my favorite. A really simple concept, only a couple parallels, but really, really well done. I don't think there was ever a Masked Men set I didn't like. I've always wanted to really attempt one of them one day. They can be quite hard to, track down some of their cards. But it's a simple sort of concept that just, the way they did it was just really, really well done. And of course you have, the memorabilia that were included, just some amazing eras of goaltending that were covered, some great concepts for sets, just really, really well done. Even the simple jersey sets that they did were just really well done, in my opinion. A really good mix of goalies too. You had your legends in there, you had your prospects, and everyone in between. Just really, really nice use of memorabilia and just really, really cool. International goalies as well. It really was, a product for the goalies, no matter who you were or what part of the globe you were from. Like you could find, or what level of hockey you were interested in. Just you could find, goalies that were in there that just really struck a chord with you, and it was just all around amazing. And it's one of those cards that I'll look through my own collection and I'll look through the various years that I have, and I'll see a couple cards and I'll see some sets, and just I'll be like, man, I really wish this was still around. And yeah, just a really, really fun product the years they had them. And yeah, the goalie inside of me just I really want that product back. So Yeah, like in the game between the pipes. Even if I could choose one year, like I'd probably choose 2010, 11, but any of the years, just amazing.
Yeah, definitely an iconic product for in the game every year that it came out. I mean, again, that's one of those ones where you say in the game, between the pipes is one of those products that you immediately think of. So yeah, definitely a great product. And yeah, for anyone that loves goalies, that's your product. Like it's just a product that everyone loved, and goalie geeks like yourself, obviously no different. So kind of speaking on that similar, wavelength there, I know there's a product from Leaf that you actually wanted to discuss as well.
There is definitely. Obviously, after Leaf buying the in the game rights, they had the idea to bring back sort of a between the pipes style. I guess they had a 2017 Leaf Masked Men product. Definitely was not quite the same level in my opinion as between the pipes, but they tried really hard, and I think it was quite close to what they were trying to do. Obviously, they were, memorabilia focused, whereas I think in the game was a little bit more balanced. But I think overall, for what they were trying to do, they did a pretty good job. I think, like I would love to see a return of that product. They had the sort of masked men, I guess, insert set like as a base set, and I think they really did a good job with that. Again, just they had a good crop of goalies to use for their base set. They were mainly geared towards the veterans and the legends of the game, but that's still pretty fair for what they tried to do. The parallels were crazy. They had a ton of different parallels, but for a Maskman set, with all those great designs and everything like that, I think you can't really go wrong with that. Whether you have one parallel or 10, I think just those cards are really nice. A nice shot of a goalie mask and all the art on there. You can't go wrong with that. So to see someone bring that back, with purpose was really nice. So I really wish that Leaf would come back with an all goalie product. I think that was, it was nice to see when they did it. I know a lot of people were excited, and I really wish that Leaf kind of comes back and does that all over again. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, for sure. And kind of interestingly, you'll kind of get that wish fulfilled somewhat soon here with President's Choice in the crease. A little bit different. It's going to
That's
focus.
true. That's true. I mean, we talked with Brian a little bit about that. I don't think we covered it really on the podcast per se, but just in our conversations, kind of in the back room there with him and what his plans are. Yeah, I mean, like that would be like any all goalie product is awesome. And I think just him sort of trying to give those collectors what they want is going to be really cool to see. Obviously, it won't be the same format because I don't think he has the manufacturing capabilities that he did back then. But still, like just to see that effort there and bringing what collectors want is always really nice to see. So yeah, we'll have to see what what the plan is there. But from what mock-ups I've seen, the majority of that product looks pretty sharp. So that'll be a really fun release. I believe it's planned for November. I'm not sure if that's been pushed at all, but we'll see.
Yep. Obviously, a memorabilia focused product, so you won't necessarily see all the base cards and inserts and autographs and all that kind of stuff. But
yeah, a little different, but just the concept of a goalie based product is still, hey, it's better than nothing at this point. So I'm a fan.
for sure, for sure. And then transitioning to the final manufacturer that is not Upper Deck, that being Tops. And this is one that I'll definitely lead the conversation on, though I know there is one product that I have on my list that you wanted to talk on as well. So I'll start with that one, that being Top C55. If you guys don't know about this product, it was amazing. Like the coolest thing ever at that point in time. Just it was so nostalgic. Like there were other products, in the 90s and 2000s that were kind of created to be nostalgic, but this took that to a whole other level. And I mean, it was just so well done. It's a timeless product. It's still amazing to this day. I think there would definitely be a place for a product like this again today, whether that's, Tops if they ever get back into the hockey world, or even if just Upper Deck did something like this as well. I think it could be a huge hit, but I know you want to talk about that later, so I'll let you come back to that in a minute. Another product that stuck out to me And this is kind of one that I think we had actually talked about on the podcast back when Fanatics had bought Topps. We had mentioned how if Topps ever did get an NHL license, one product that would be really amazing would be Topps Archives, just because of the insane wealth of designs, classic designs from a number of decades that Topps owns the rights to. Obviously, since they created those cards originally. So I think a Topps Archives product today would just be absolutely amazing, being able to bring back so many of those old school designs exactly as they were, and marry that with the players of today would just be an awesome product.
If I can
Just
just jump in there
yeah,
quickly, like for
yep,
Topps Archives, yeah, Topps Archives was, like would be just amazing to see. I mean, I often see that being continuously done in the MLB sets. And just like all the buyback stuff they do is just so cool. And to see that, in hockey would be amazing. So I totally agree with like when you brought up Topps Archives, just it would be so nice to see. And yeah, like every time I look at a baseball forum or something like that, and I see all those cards, yeah, it would be nice to plug in some hockey designs and get those all signed up. I think that would be really nice, or even just to recreate them in some way would be really amazing. So I totally agree with you on that one.
yeah, for sure. And another product from Topps that was done for quite a few years that it's the concept has been done by Upper Deck and by other manufacturers, but it almost just feels like Topps just got it right. I think they were probably one of, if not the first company to really do the concept. And like I said, they just got it right. And other companies have done it since, and it's really good, but it's just not quite the same. That being Topps Chrome, like simple product, but it was just amazing. All of the chromed out cards, I don't know what was different about how Topps did it compared to what other manufacturers have, but Topps Chrome cards were just amazing. So, I know obviously that is a product that if it ever comes back, there would certainly be a very, very big appetite for that in the hobby, especially based on, what people are interested in nowadays. That would be an instant hit for sure. Kind of similar to that, Topps Finest. Again, one of those kind of like chrome refractor type of products that, I think would definitely do really well today. Another one kind of similar to that. You guys know I love this product. I talk about it all the time. Topps Pristine. Again, kind of focusing on that chrome refractor technology. Again, a product that I think would do very well today if it was still in hockey. It's in baseball still to this day. I know that 2022 Topps Pristine did really well in baseball. So, yeah, I think that would definitely go over really well if it came back today. And then one last one, and then after I talk about this one, you can jump back in on C55. But one of the products that I would love to open a box of this stuff one day, I never have. It's really hard to find, so I don't know if I ever will. But some of the best looking cards in the hobby ever created, Topps Gold Label. Just beautiful cards. The base cards were just phenomenal. All of the inserts, autographs, memorabilia, everything
So
is
nice.
great. Just an awesome product, beautiful across the board. So I think if that ever made its way back, that would also be just heavily, heavily collected and very well received.
Every time I see a collector pick up any card from that, like even a base card, like I have a couple kicking around and they're so nice. I think I have like a Korea base card or something, and I just really enjoy that so much. But every time I see a card, especially the one of one, which were like literally impossible to find for one, and two, the way they did the serial number on the backs, it's very hard to see. And so it's almost like criminal how it was done, because will any of these one of ones just be lost forever in someone's base pile? Probably,
I'm sure.
because yeah, because they were so hard to see, and just like, oh, just that part was not the greatest, but in a way it kind of makes it better, because it makes those one of ones like a true like treasure hunt, and if you do find one, it makes it that much more cooler. So those were amazing. I really like your thoughts on all those Topps products. Yeah, really, really cool. It would be interesting though, like how much of these products would be, I guess we can look at, the baseball market, although a little different than hockey, but see what brands kind of do well today versus brands that if we brought back today would kind of flop and we're kind of a product of their time. Like, would Gold Label be successful today? I don't know. Like, I would like them to be. I think they can. Or like a Topps Chrome. Would people get sick of Chrome cards after 5 years straight? I don't know. But whereas like if you plan it well, could maybe not a one and done, but like planning a release here every 5 years, keep that fresh? Or would it be something where, hey, I want this product back full time, and would it actually work? Or again, like, was it a product of their time, and they did like what they needed to do, and that was kind of it. So I'm not sure. It's really interesting to talk about these products, but also kind of in the back of your mind think, okay, like I would want the product back, but would the hobby even really support it? So it's a really interesting, I guess, debate to have. Yeah, and one of those Topps product that really just struck a chord with me was Topps C55. I love that product. So amazing. For those who don't know, Topps C55 was sort of like a tribute to one of the very first hockey card sets ever made, the Imperial Tobacco C55 set. Just bringing back Topps C55 with modern day players would be, amazing in general. Similar to the, original six concept where, you're sort of missing out on these current crop of players with those iconic designs and just concept for a set, just swinging it back to, one of the original hockey card sets. Like that's just so, you can't get better than that. Another thing that I was thinking of when we were talking about products that we would like to see back is not only Topps C55, but I would really enjoy it if they sort of had like almost like a modern day throwback to the first ever card sets, Topps or even an Upper Deck C56, C55, and then a C57 set. Just bringing back all those iconic sets that really just set the tone for the hobby moving forward back in the early 1900s. Just what you could do with that would be amazing. I mean, I would just enjoy it so much. You could put in some vintage guys, especially now since they have, the rights to use more of those guys, with the alumni, just original Hall of Famers, and of course the modern day players too. Just amazing. Just I would really enjoy that card set, and yeah, just really, really cool. For those who just are a fan of hockey and are a fan of hockey cards, which you all are, like I would really consider you just Googling, 0304 Topps C55 and see what kind of legends you can find in that set and pick up a couple. You get the minis, you can get the full size cards too. Marc-Andre Fleury is in the set as well with his rookies. And just overall, it's just a fun set. You have your mini cards, you have some jerseys in there too. Just really nice variations as well. They're super rare. Just overall, just really, really fun. And that is one set that if we had to do like a vote, I think that would be a set that I would really like back the most. Or just a package of just the original trio of the Imperial Tobacco sets, C55, 56, and 57 just would be incredible in every which way.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you said a lot of great stuff there. I think one thing that stood out to me about the product is that it married that throwback so well with the modern day card. The base set itself was the current day standard size card.
Right.
But then they also had the mini parallels. And like you alluded to, there were a lot of different parallels of those minis that was just purely based on the back of the card. The fronts were all the same.
Well, actually, they had on some players. I don't know if they did this for all the players, but I know with the Brodeur, they had like a full length picture of him, and they had the close up. So it kind of mimicked the originals where they only had sort of an upper body type shot of the player, and then they also had the full length, which sort of mimicked what modern day cards at the time had, full player shots of them, in action, but also kind of threw it back to the original with sort of the upper body torso section as well. So a little different on the fronts, but yeah, the majority of the variations were in the back. and they were just really subtle but super fun and super rare too.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe there were 10 guys on the checklist that had those full body variations, and they did those for the standard size cards and the minis as well. And then all of the minis had all of the back parallels for the portrait version and the full body version. So, yeah, for some guys, there are so many cards in the product, it's crazy. But yeah, so many of those parallels. Everyone who has a player in 0304 C55 can tell you about the bazooka backs and how frustrating those were. Shout out to our good buddy Kendall Mullen. I know he still is looking for a Flurry bazooka back to this day. And yeah, so those are just crazy hard to find. I think the print run on them was 5, and they're just so hard to find. So yeah, so you have all of those, the quote unquote standard cards, but then you also have, the autographs, the jerseys, like you said, that kind of brings that modern aspect into the product. And what was cool with those is those were actually mini cards that they put into kind of like these like almost like photo frame. So the card as a whole is a standard size, but the actual autograph card or the actual jersey card is the size of a tobacco card. So that was just a cool concept too. I really like those cards. And then the coolest thing of all, we can't forget about this, is they did buybacks of the entire C55 set in the product. So you could literally open a box of
I
0304.
forgot about those.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really cool.
Yep. So you could open a box of 0304 Top C55 and pull a Vesna rookie card.
That's ridiculous.
So I believe they just did one complete set. So all of those buybacks were theoretically one of ones. But I mean, how amazing is that? Like, just a really cool idea. And I know Upper Deck has done that. They did that with Parkhurst recently. They inserted a set of 51, 52 Parkhurst in, I forget which year of Parkhurst it was, but over maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, they did that in one of their Parkhurst releases. So that was cool as well. Just a cool concept. So yeah, those are all of our non-Upper Deck products. So we will now transition into Upper Deck itself. Obviously, you guys will probably be pretty familiar with a lot of these products that we're going to talk about from here on out, but definitely a lot of fun stuff here. So I kind of have this broken down into a few different categories that I'm going to at least put mine into. Aaron, I know your list is a lot shorter here, so you can kind of just interject. And I know we have a little bit of overlap, so for the ones that I know you want to talk about, I'll leave those to you. My first category for the Upper Deck products is products that should go back to their quote unquote original style. So, I think the one that immediately comes to a lot of people's mind is Black Diamond. I know that's one of the products you want to talk about, so I'll let you unpack that. The other two that I have on this list that I don't feel as strongly about as I do for Black Diamond, and I think most people would kind of be in that same boat. But SP Game Used, I just liked having that be kind of more of a traditional configuration that has multiple packs within a box. That's not a hill that I would die on. The SP Game Used needs to go back to that. I still think it's a good product as it is today, but I just kind of I prefer the concept of having multiple packs in a box that you can open up. And I thought that the configuration of SP Game Used, where there were 6 packs in a box, I thought that was good. So I would kind of like to see it go back to that. And then same thing again, SPX. I really just preferred the old configuration of that, where you get the one rookie jersey auto per box and you get a couple other hits and you get all the base cards. The base cards were always really cool. The designs were always really nice. A good combination of cardboard and foil, and they always just looked really nice. And, I don't know. I preferred the traditional iterations of SPX compared to the new, modern higher end type of product where it's just one card per pack. So that's another one I would like to see go back to its original style. But Black Diamond, Aaron, I will let you unpack that a little bit more.
Black Diamond was so cool. I really enjoyed Black Diamond. I think the base sets were really nice. I loved the ruby and the gold parallels. The rookie gems were amazing. I know they still have the rookie gems, but they've become sort of this high-end, sort of big chase piece, which I don't know if I like that. I really enjoyed just just, getting a sweet rookie gem. Even just the regular ones, I thought they were really nicely done cards. And of course, if you got one of the parallels, the red or gold or whatever it was, or even the Onyx one of one parallel, just were so nice and just really, really something. Bring back, like, we should make this a hashtag, bring back, sort of the non-memorabilia or autograph one of ones. I mean, I know they still exist, but I feel like they were much more prevalent, especially in Black Diamond. They were really nice cards. In SB Game Used, they were really nice as well. Not that they don't have nice cards now. I think with SB Game Used, like, that was more fit to go higher end than I think Black Diamond was. So I mean, I get the move from SB Game Use to higher end. Like I would still rather it be sort of that mid-end product, don't get me wrong. But I feel like that would transition higher a little bit better than Black Diamond going to higher end. I feel like that was strictly a lower end product, and it just sort of was made out something that it wasn't meant to be. Whereas SB Game Use, I can see it from both ends. While personally, like I would prefer it being, on the lower scale. But yeah, for Black Diamond, I really like the old format. They actually brought back some throwback cards to that old style kind of look to them, which it wasn't that long ago, like where they were, that old school style. So to bring it back as a throwback, it's kind of funny to me. But it was a really big hit, and I think a lot of people loved it. So imagine transitioning that to a full product again would be really nice. So who knows? I don't think we'll see it. I think these things are very sticky where, they sort of move into that high end model. It's really hard to sort of garner up the, I guess, bravery to go and print a bunch of them again and sort of make it low end again. I don't know if that move's really possible, but hey, I mean, it was really nice, when it was low end, and I really wish it was the same. So yeah, Black Diamond, while it's still around, I wish the old school format was a thing. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you did a good job unpacking those. And yeah, I would agree with what you said about SP Game Used. It makes sense transitioning that into a more of a higher end product compared to a mid end product, whereas SPX, I think, was good as a mid end product, and Black Diamond was good as a low to mid end product. So yeah, good thoughts there. My next category, I don't think you have anything that falls into this, so I'll just rip through these kind of quick. This category is Upper Deck one-offs that I liked for whatever reason. So products that were just done once and then that's it. Two of them, strangely enough, are from 0607. First one being B Player Portraits, which, if you guys remember that one, that was the one that had an 8x10 autograph in every pack. I just thought it was a really cool idea.
It was so fun.
Yeah, I can see why it's not practical for manufacturing. I can see why it's not practical for collecting, but it was still a really cool product. So, I think that's a kind of product that would still work today if it was done periodically. I don't know that there would need to be a product like that every year, but even, every 3 or 5 years or something, if you did something like that, that was, really focused on an 8x10 type of thing, I think there would be some interest in that. And there were even some really scarce autographs in that product that still are very, very desirable to this day. So yeah, just an interesting product that, was a concept that you just didn't really see. And, it did die after the 1 year, probably, for some of those reasons I said earlier, but still a product that I liked. Next, this one is kind of, I don't know if cheating is really the right word, because it's kind of shown up in different places over the years. But I think there was just this 1 year where it was its own standalone product. And that was 0607 Flare Showcase. All of those cards were awesome. The base cards were absolutely stunning. There were parallels of those that were really nice. There were all different like levels within the overall base set, which was really cool, with different scarcity and stuff, like different tiers within the checklist. I just like that idea. And, it gives you a much more difficult chase to complete a base set. But the cards just looked amazing. And then I also really liked the Showcase Inks autograph cards. That's a set I've considered trying to go for multiple times over the years. Haven't yet, but maybe one day I'll get around to it. But I actually pulled the Crosby Showcase Inks card out of a loose pack back in the day, which was amazing. I still have it. That'll never leave my collection. The common autograph cards were had a print run of 100. Crosby was a short print, so who knows how many there are. But yeah, getting that out of a loose pack, I want to say that was in 2014, was obviously amazing. But yeah, I love the base cards from that set. They were just beautiful cards. Like you could just open a pack, get a base only pack and not be upset about it because you'd just be like, wow, these are really nice cards. So yeah, maybe I'm alone on that one, but I really like that product. And then the next one, I really liked 1516 Upper Deck Portfolio. I know some people really did not like that product. And in a lot of ways, there were some things done with the product that you could see the idea, you could see the concept, but the execution just wasn't quite there. So I do understand why that ended up just being a one-off product, but I thought the concept of the product was really good. So yeah, I don't know, just I kind of like the idea of having kind of more artistic products every now and then. Not necessarily that it needs to be art, but even just kind of focusing on that more artistic minded outlook on a product, I think is a good idea. Even if the execution wasn't fully there with 1516 portfolio, I still like the idea and think that it would work if done well today. So my next category, and I know that you have at least, I guess, probably two products that would fit into this, but products that I would consider to be quote unquote modern products. So I'm putting that post lockout. So 0506 to now, products that did exist that don't exist anymore. First one for me was Beehive. I know that's one that you want to talk about, Aaron, so I will let you talk about that. My next one is Hot Prospects. I loved the idea that you could have a lower end product that had rookie patch autos in it. I don't know. Cool idea. I thought it was really good, a good thing for the hobby. I think that would go over very well still to this day. They kind of did that with Fleer Showcase 15, 16, 16, 17, 14, 15. They did it for a few years in the mid 2010s. And I think, it was well received again then. And then they just cut it back off again. So I don't know if, a Fleer Showcase Hot Prospects type of thing will be in the cards again at some point in the near future, but I think there would be an appetite for it for sure. And then these next four are all ones that I'm excited to talk about just because they were very fun products. This first one is one that most people would never even think of, but as soon as I say it, you're like, "Oh yeah, I remember those. That was kind of cool." Mini jersey collection.
That was cool.
It was intended to be for kids. I totally get that, but it was fun. Like it was just different. You open up a pack and there's this mini jersey in every pack. Like that was just cool. It was fun. It was different. And again, I think that's probably one you wouldn't want to do it every year. Maybe you do it every 3 to 5 years or something, but the idea is awesome. So yeah, that's one that I just thought was kind of like the ultimate fun product. When I
That
know
would
this,
be like kind of geared for like a McDonald's or a Tim Hortons kind of release, I think.
yeah,
I
could
don't
be.
know if it would work as like a hobby product per se, but definitely a lower end promotional release would be really cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, like we see it now, like around similar times with the Tim Hortons hockey card set right now. We have like sort of the mini sticks still coming out now. So that sort of style with cards sort of involved would be really cool. So yeah, like a mini jersey set around this time of year, I think would work, but it would have to be released in the right way.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a good thought on that for sure. This next one I know is something that you had mentioned. I don't know if you want to go super in depth on it, but Sweet Shot, which was only around for a couple years, but it was so cool. Like it was very much ahead of its time, I think, in that it was one of the first like one pack per box products, but it still was done in a way that was very attainable. Like I think at the time it was like $50 a box or so. You got a base, you got a rookie jersey, you got an autograph, and you got some other memorabilia card. So it was 4 cards per box, very straightforward, but there was a lot of really cool stuff built into the product, and I just really liked it. I had always kind of wanted to get a box of it, but just never did. But yeah, just a very forward thinking product for that time period that I think a lot of people really enjoyed at the time. And then it kind of just went away. And I think people kind of forgot about it. But then I feel like nowadays, every time you kind of bring it back up, people are like, oh, yeah, like I kind of liked that product. Like that was cool. So that's one that I think, based on how the hobby kind of is nowadays, I think there would definitely be a place for it. It might not feel unique or cool anymore because a lot of products are like that. But yeah, just a product that I thought was really cool. Next one, I would say that a lot of people would say for Upper Deck products, this is one of the prettiest products that Upper Deck has made as far as a product line. From year to year, it wasn't around for very long. It actually was around and then it stopped and then it came back for a few years. And now it's an insert in SPX. But I think a lot of people would love to see it be its own standalone product again, that being Upper Deck Black. So many nice cards came out of that product. Just beautiful
I
cards.
really enjoyed like the game night ticket autographs.
Hmm.
Those were so good. I've always meant to pick up one. I still don't have one, but those were really nice. Like just to, I mean, Panini did something like really similar in Contenders, but like just to have sort of a, you know, ticket design, and a player signing it, even just really nicely done parallels even would, I think, be a really big hit. So I think for Black Diamond and having those game night ticket autographs between two players on like maybe rival teams or something was really nice to see and just so nice. I mean, they were really amazing. Yeah, like Upper Deck Black was really nice. Like really nice. They were so nice.
Yeah. I think there would be a huge appetite if it was a standalone product. Like to me, it's like, okay, I feel like in a way, Black Diamond in its current iteration was almost kind of like trying to take that
It was like
spot
meant to be Upper Deck Black
and
in a
trying
way.
to trying to like combine the two of them into this new high-end thing. And to me, I don't know, like it just isn't what it could be or what it should be. So I don't know. I would love to see Black Diamond go back to its original style, like we said, and then for that high-end product, just make it UD Black. Like there was nothing wrong with UD Black as it was. Just go back to making it. Everyone loved it. The cards are beautiful.
The rookie Lettermans that were always fun to chase. Those were so
Hmm.
fun. Just I believe the first booklet cards were from Upper Deck Black. They
In the
had sort of
modern day, Upper Deck actually had some booklets back in 0203 Upper Deck, I know, but those were very hard to find. So like the first
yeah,
mainstream booklets, yeah, probably.
where like I believe it was like yeah, Upper Deck Black. So they had some really cool designs in there. They had some innovation there too. Just really nice cards and yeah, a bunch of everything. So yeah, like I would love to see a full standalone product as well for Upper Deck Black to make a return.
Yes. And I know the Pride of a Nation manufactured patch
Everyone
autographs.
loves those.
Everyone loved those. Even though they're manufactured, you can't really
Doesn't
avoid
matter.
that for
Doesn't
that type of
matter.
a concept. But everyone loved those really cool
Even the
cards.
Letterman was nice and it's
Hmm.
manufactured, but who cares? They had these parallels too that they had there. Doesn't matter if it's manufactured. If the card is done well, it's a good card. Like 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 it depends on the price point too. You would have to make it that it's not too high end for people to, I guess, stomach the idea of manufactured patches. But if you can have it at a middle price point that is, I guess, affordable, and you have some manufactured stuff in there and they're really nice cards, I think it can be done.
True. And then my last one for the modern Upper Deck products, and I know this is one that you had mentioned, so I'll let you talk on it as well. But again, a product that everybody loved so much at the time was OPG Premier. It was so
Loved
great.
OPG Premiere. It was so good. It was so good. It was amazing. I mean, just everything about that. I I don't even remember what year it died. Was it 2010?
Hmm.
Was the year it died? Yeah, because that's when like those were the dark days. I mean that like yeah, it was so sad. Like when it died, it was just because that was Enroth's like rookie year. So I got all the sweet OPG Premier cards in my collection. And then I'm looking at them like, where did it go? The Premier signings was to this day one of my favorite autograph sets ever. They're so nice. You had the duels and the triples and the quads, and it was just like it's crazy. The checklist, like there was some weird stuff going on in Upper Deck at this time. So there's some checklists, some question marks around the checklist. People don't even know what is in there, what isn't. It's crazy. Like, for the quad autographs, triples, like duels, like there was so much awesome stuff in there that there was so much to keep track of. Like no one knew what was in this set. And so it was just amazing. Just like even the memorabilia cards were nice too. Oh, they were really, really nice. So I miss OPG Premiere. I
Yeah.
miss it so much. And I'll just leave
Yeah.
it at
It
that.
was, I mean, I remember like when group breaking kind of first started becoming a thing with like Clotes and Chara, that was a product that they went through so much of, and it was so much fun to watch that stuff get opened because, whether it be a really nice autograph card or a really sweet patch card or whatever it might be, there was always something pretty much in every pack, meaning every box because it was one pack per box, but seemingly something in every box there's just like, oh man, that's really nice. Like that's a really nice card. So yeah, just a very nostalgic product that, I think a lot of people that have been around in the hobby since that time really liked that product and wish it was still around. OPG Premier, that name has come back in different ways over the last few years, but just kind of as like insert cards in Upper Deck products, it has never been its own standalone thing.
Yeah, no, I need it to be the
So,
full thing. Like, remember the reaction in the hobby when Upper Deck Premiere came back?
mhm.
Like, I think that would be a similar reaction if OPG Premiere came back. Everyone loved that. They started sharing their old cards from UD Premiere from back in the day. I think it would be a similar reaction to OPG Premiere. Just I think it would complement OPG so well, and it would just bring it up a level, obviously, and it'd be amazing. I think it would be great.
Yeah. So even though,
Legends, rookies, modern players, everything was in there and done really well.
yeah, even though it was only around for 3 years, it was 07, 08, 08, 09, 09, 10. All 3 years of it were amazing. And, people love those cards. And still to this day, anytime you see a card from that product, you're like, oh, that stuff was great. So yeah, that's definitely one that people would like to see come back for sure. And then I know you wanted to talk about Beehive a little bit as well.
Definitely, Beehive was so fun. I was around for a couple of years there, early 2000s, and just it was so fun. For those who don't know the origins of Beehive, I'm going to give you a little history lesson. So Beehive started off actually in the 1930s. The St. Lawrence Starch Company created a little consumer promotion around their products, around their Beehive products, in order to sell more of their stuff. So think of sort of, your Tim Hortons roll up the rim. It was a consumer promotion. Buy our stuff and you're going to get something in return. It was actually, I guess, part of Canadian history in a way. It was, the longest consumer promotions ever hosted in Canada. It ran from 1934 to 1968. So through sending in proof of purchase, you would receive this sort of photo kind of on this sort of paper background. It was nothing fancy at all, but it was just something that people really loved, and it was continued on for decades. And then Upper Deck, I'm not sure if they just sort of created the name or have to get rights somewhere, but they created their own Beehive product and paid a very quality tribute to these original Beehive cards, similar to the C55s, where it's just a really cool part of hobby history that some people might not know about, especially with Beehives and the origins there. But yeah, a really like almost famous Canadian promotion from back in the day, and just sort of brought back to life, through cardboard. And that's what I really like about cards in general, how they can sort of relive moments of the past and just sort of, kick it up a notch and sort of bring it into sort of a modern light. So yeah, Beehive was amazing. They had those 5x7 cards, which was really fun to open up the big sort of card packs, at the store when you would go rip them open. And they had the big versions, they had the smaller versions, of course. And just overall, it was a really solid product. I really enjoyed those. They were printed at like out of 100. They had sort of the beige sort of frame. I
The
think they had
matte,
different colors.
the
Yeah,
matte version.
the matte versions. That's right. So it was kind of an inverted version of the original. So instead of being matted on the outside, they were sort of matted sort of in like a frame style. So those were really cool with a nice little serial number on the side there. Pulled one of those years ago and just I traded it away, but I really enjoyed those cards. I kind of wish I kept it. But yeah, Beehive is a really cool look at the past as far as hockey card history. So I would really enjoy seeing that return, sort of like, the top C55. If I could choose one or the other, I would definitely go C55, but Beehive, definitely holds, a special place in my heart. And it was just really nice to see, especially when I started getting more, for real about the hobby. Beehive was around and it was just really fun to rip those packs and try and pull something, from the autographs or jersey cards. It was always really fun to see what you're going to find.
Yeah, no doubt. And as an honorable mention, I know that Pinnacle back in 97, 98 had a Beehive product as well that
They
again was
did,
kind of
yes.
based on that idea of the original Beehive photos. And there are some nice cards from that product that are still really desirable. I know Luongo had his rookies in that product. So he has a rookie auto. And then there were autos of Willie O'Ree was in there, as well as Maurice Richard and a few other legends. So I actually have one of the Maurice Richard autograph cards from that set, actually. But yeah, I don't know. Again, kind of going back to that BAP portraits, like just having a bigger card is just, something different. It's cool. So yeah, I always was a fan of Beehive as well. And then I know you have some other quote unquote modern products that I did not have on my list. So go ahead and dive into, I think you have four more that you wanted to talk about.
I do. So my first one was Upper Deck Champs. I really enjoyed that. I'm a big fan of mini cards. And so seeing that return, still, like a tribute to the past, with the Champs cigarette cards back in the 1920s. Not a direct tribute per se, but very, very like closely aligned, especially with the mini cards and things like that. But Upper Deck Champs is really awesome. The brand is very, very sort of alive today, but sort of on its last legs a little bit. They haven't had an actual standalone set since 15-16. They did make an appearance in the Upper Deck Clear Cut product recently as sort of, a random sort of set in there. But so they're alive, but just kind of hanging on there. So I would really like to see, a full-on box product again. Another product that I would really like to see come back in that full hobby format would be Parkhurst. The brand is still alive, but it's sort of been a retail only offering these past couple years. They do have an appearance in EPAC right now for like achievement cards, but as far as like a full on, box product, like at the hobby level, it just hasn't been seen for many, many years. So I really think that it's a good retail product, but to see it come back in a full-on hobby format again would be really nice. Another product that I would love to see make a full-on return would be two other products here, Upper Deck Fleer Ultra and finally Upper Deck Victory. So Fleer Ultra is really, really fun. I really enjoyed the gold medallion and ice medallion parallels. I think it was a really simple concept, but something where, you can get some really, really nice cards. And they just have a long history, for those medallion type parallels across all sports. So just getting those parallels back in the mix would be really, really nice. And then for Upper Deck Victory, they're still around. I don't know if they released them this year, but they have been around a past couple of years for sort of, Upper Deck's Expo promotional sets. So they've been around here and there. But as far as a full-on box product, haven't seen that in many years as well. I really enjoyed them so much. Definitely a low-end product that I ripped a lot of. And who could forget, the Upper Deck Black parallels? Those were really nice starting out, in the early 2000s there. Just like I remember seeing one of those cards for the first time and they were just so nice. Just a very simple concept, but just kind of this like blacked out card, just really nice, like just something different, And shout out to Upper Deck Victory because they were the first time, not the first time in the hobby, but the first time that Upper Deck wanted to sort of branch out in Europe. So in 2009-10, they branched out with specific releases for Finland and Sweden. So they actually produced, with Finnish and Swedish text, they produced two separate lines and distributed Upper Deck Finland and Upper Deck Sweden for those victory releases. So they're very hard to find. They were very, very limited, but Upper Deck tried to branch out into Europe with those specific products. I'm sure it was nice to see for those collectors out there, but ultimately it just didn't work out, and we haven't seen anything like that since. I think the European card market is strong enough to just support English text products. So I kind of think that it was just sort of an experiment on their end that just didn't work out. But it was really nice to see. It was cool to see that sort of product take that trip across the pond and try and be released, as sort of their native language only product. I think that was really nice for Upper Deck to try. And yeah, shout out to Upper Deck Victory. Just a fun product all around. And yeah, just I kind of wish it was returned into a full-on product, even retail at this point. Like I would love a return of some sort of box product of Victory. Like it would be so fun.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with that. One thing we were saying before we started recording was Victory was one of those products where you could just go buy it, whether it's, packs or a blaster or a full box or whatever it might be, and just say, I'm just buying some cards because I want to open something. I want to have fun. I have no expectations of getting anything that's worth much of anything, but I'm just gonna, have some fun opening some packs. It was great for that. It's obviously, pretty much as low end as it ever got for Upper Deck, which is fine. It was meant for kids, for entry level collectors. That's fine. It worked. It was, something that even though it was really, really cheap, you still looked forward to when it came out every year. So yeah, I think there would definitely be a place for that. I would almost, this might be too far, but it might be nice to see it almost kind of take the place of MVP at this point, or at least maybe they kind of like go back and forth between the two, because I feel like MVP can kind of get a little stale sometimes. So maybe having, some back and forth there for that low end product might be a good thing, just to kind of keep it fresh for more devoted collectors to still be interested in it.
I like, MVP, because it does have sort of a longer history, like going back with those, gold scripts and super scripts and things like that. So I like MVP for that purpose, but taking a break for a couple of years and then bringing back Victory and then sort of flip-flopping on both of those, I think it would be an interesting idea, to keep sort of both of them and sort of see what you can do and push yourself for a couple of years and then retire it for a bit and then push yourself on MVP for a bit and then sort of vice versa. I think it would be a good mix for collectors while still keeping those two, brands in the mix.
Yep. And then my last category is what I'm calling the blast from the past category for Upper Deck products that were pre 0405 lockout. I have four things under this. These are products that are, so far in the past that a lot of you might not even remember them or even know they existed. Or if you do know about them, you probably haven't thought about them in years. I know there's at least, one of these for sure that I haven't thought about in years. So I'll start with that one. And it's one that I think was only done for maybe a couple years, like in the late 90s, early 2000s, like I think maybe right like 9900 and maybe 0001, like right around the turn of the millennium. But Upper Deck Gold Reserve. It was just a fun, kind of different version of the flagship product. And we kind of see a similar concept today with like the EPAC foil parallels and stuff. Gold Reserve was a little bit different, but I don't know. There's just something about it that was like, yeah, this is still the flagship product, but it's cooler. It's better. Like it was, I don't know. I don't know how much of an appetite there might be for something like that today, but I just kind of like the idea of having like almost a different version of the flagship product. Just, I don't know, something a little bit different. The next one, this one again, around in the early 2000s, was only around for a couple years, I think, but one that I remember from back in the day, really enjoying it. There were some cool cards. I liked the base set even, that being Upper Deck Top Shelf. Just, I don't know, thought it was a really fun product. There were nice memorabilia cards, jerseys and sticks and all kinds of different stuff in there, autographs, and just a fun product. Next one, again, a product that was only around for 2 years, 0203 and 0304. Upper Deck Classic Portraits was one of the first products that I kind of fell in love with. The first box I ever opened was 0304 Classic Portraits. Just a very interesting and unique product. They had those like mini busts of players that you could get. There were parallels of those, there were autograph versions of those. So that was kind of cool. But even just the cards themselves, I thought were really, really nice, sharp cards. The base set design was really just classy. I guess with the name Classic Portraits, you could kind of expect that, but it was just really well done. Again, it was one of those that had a tiered checklist for the base set. So there were different kind of like subsets in the set that had varying degrees of difficulty. I know there was a Patrick Waugh subset called Portrait of a Legend. Some of those seem to have been like wildly short printed, even though they're all numbered out of 800. I know there was one that it took me forever to find, and those sold very well back in the day. And there were other ones as well. And then there were redemption rookie cards, for Fleury and Bergeron and Stahl and Dustin Brown and Horton and Burns and all of those guys that were included. And then there were all kinds of jersey insert cards as well that had, again, different degrees of scarcity and stuff like that. And just so much cool stuff was in that product. And I know it was only around for 2 years. It seems like it probably didn't do super well if it got axed after that. But I don't know. I just always really liked those cards, especially the 0304 iteration of it. And again, kind of like how I was talking about with Portfolio earlier, I think there is a place for kind of those more artistic type of products. They just have to be done really well. And I think 0304 Classic Portraits was done really well. So to me, it's kind of weird that it just died after that, given that it was a really well done product. But yeah, I would love to see a product like that make a return. And then for my grand finale, this is one that I know other collectors have said, can we please get this back? Like, this would be so awesome if you brought this back. Everyone loved it back at the time. There was a little bit of everything in it for every type of collector. But Aaron, I know you will resonate with this one. And when I say it, you'll be like, oh yeah, that's got to come back. Again, a product that was only around for, I want to say maybe 2 years, maybe three, but I think 2 years. Upper Deck Mask Collection.
Yes, 100% yes. I thought you were going to go with another product, Upper Deck Masterpieces,
Mm,
but just yeah, like 100% yes.
yeah,
Anything to do with the goalie, just I'm a big
yeah. But there was just so much in Mask Collection that it was just something that everybody could get behind and enjoy. Yes, obviously geared toward goalies, but it also included a lot of just skaters as well. So it was a very well-rounded product. And there were some incredibly rare and desirable kind of like chase insert sets that still to this day will fetch hundreds of dollars on the secondary market if you find one. So even if it's not like the greatest player, like I know there was one of the patch cards of Felix Potvin sold earlier this year for like $300 or something like that. That was just crazy, but it's like people love that product. It's a nostalgic product. It was a really well done product, and there were some huge chase cards in there that were really hard to find. So when you combine all of that into one product, it's a hit. People liked it. So, I know that a product like that, there are some limitations that manufacturers have with the artwork of masks and stuff like that. And I know that those boxes did have like a mini replica mask in each box. So I think that's kind of where some of that issue is coming into play. But yeah, I mean, there's just, yeah, so many people that I've seen online that are like, oh yeah, like I remember this stuff. Like it would be so awesome if that came back.
definitely. I mean, just so amazing. Like I've really enjoyed talking about all these products. It's really interesting to see what would really kind of hack it today versus, sets that are we nostalgic about it because it was sort of a one and done? And if it was produced every year, like would we feel the same way about it? I don't know. But it's just always fun to look back on these products and yeah, it was really fun just going through all these old products and seeing like what would we want back, just really, really fun.
Yeah, definitely a nice change of pace, a nice blast from the past for sure. Fun to think about products that you haven't thought about in years and get excited about them again. So that was awesome. And then one last thing for the episode. If you guys have heard any of our recent episodes, you've heard that we are doing a contest for cards from 21-22 Upper Deck Series 2, Extended Series, and AHL, since we opened up boxes of those products on the podcast, all of which were compliments of Upper Deck. So, of course, it's only fair to share some of those cards with you guys as well. So, over the last number of episodes, we have been running a contest for you guys to enter in to win some of those cards. And today is when we will choose the winner. So, we got a decent number of entries. So, what we're going to do, I just have on random.org the list of everyone who entered, and I'm going to randomize it 3 times, and whoever ends up on top, reach out to us on social media, whether that be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, email, YouTube, whatever. Just get a hold of us and let us know what your address is, and I will get these cards out to you. So best of luck, everybody who is entered, and we will start randomizing once and twice and a third time. Good luck, everybody. And the winner is Stay at Home Thad Show from Instagram. So Thad, I know you're a big fan of the podcast. Excited to see that you will be getting some of these sweet cards. So go ahead and reach out to us on Instagram or wherever else you would want to reach out to us, and let us know your address, and I'll get those packaged up and sent out to you. So congrats, Thad, and exciting to get that contest done.
Awesome. Like always, nice to see our listeners win some free stuff. Well, it's been a really fun episode, like we just mentioned. If you have any problems with, products that we mentioned, feel free to let us know. If you do not want to see any of these products back, tell us. And if you would like to substitute a product of your choice into this sort of, debate, let us know also. What other products would you like to see make a return?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure there are products that we overlooked or forgot about.
Oh, for sure.
Or whatever. So yeah, let us know what products you would want on this list. I'm sure there are ones that we said that you guys resonate with as well. So let us know about those too, that you agree with us on. Like Aaron said, if there's something, you hated Upper Deck Victory or whatever, we'd love to hear your thoughts as well. So yeah, definitely a fun topic for us to unpack, but definitely a topic that you guys can also unpack with us as well. So definitely be sure to reach out with your thoughts on it. And while you're doing that, be sure to follow us on our social media channels. We can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Center Ice Cardcast, and on Twitter at Center Ice CC. Please also be sure to subscribe to the show on your podcast platform of choice to make sure you never miss a future episode. Until next time on Center Ice Cardcast, keep collecting those hockey cards.